Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where technology translates into transformation. These are the kind of themes that we explore every day, and I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and today's conversation is set to strike a chord with all the music lovers out there. I include myself in that as well, and I'm looking forward to exploring the digital renaissance of the music industry with none other than Jeremy Sirota, the CEO of a company called Merlin. Now, with 15% of the global market share, Merlin is a harmonious blend of innovation and independence, and crafting premium music deals and building bridges between artists and audiences. So from the future of music streaming to the impact of emerging technologies such as AR, VR and generative AI to safeguarding copyright within tech-driven sectors, there is so much that I want to talk to Jeremy about today to better understand the impact of technology on the music industry. And it impacts just about every aspect you can think of. And Jeremy possesses a unique blend of legal and tech expertise. It makes him a standout voice in this space, and that is why I invited him on the show today. And not only that, he's an incredibly cool guy. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to New York, where Jeremy is waiting to speak with us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Jeremy. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Really happy to be here. I'm CEO of Merlin, and we are a company that collectively licenses digital music rights. We represent over 500 members around the world. That's record labels, music distributors, and all sorts of music rights holders. And we are more than 15% of the recorded music market, which is quite large. We're one of the largest representative of rights in the world. And we do premium deals for our members with digital platforms. That includes Apple Music, Meta, Peloton, Spotify, Snap, YouTube, and 40 other sort of innovative platforms around the world.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I know you're a listener as well. And as you know, every day I try to take a different area that technology is transforming, and possibly an area that people don't think about technology as such. And digital music transformation is an area that I wanted to get you on here for today and try and demystify and explore with you, especially with the rise in prominence of social media platforms in the music industry's digital transformation. I've got to ask, how does Merlin support the independent artists and labels in navigating this shift, especially concerning things like fan engagement and monetization? Because for some huge artists, which is only a handful of them, they don't need to worry about stuff like that. But it's the independent artists and those people that I'd love to find out more about and how you're helping them today.
Yeah, absolutely. And for your audience, before I came to Merlin, I spent 2 years on the Facebook music team in the very early days, where I was helping to shape the company's music strategy and also licensing rights from independents around the world. So that's your first question is a very natural progression into my role, Merlin. And in these recent years, we've just seen a massive growth in platforms, and that includes TikTok, Instagram, Snap. All of them have entered and been big players in the music space. That's for music discovery, music promotion, and obviously for building fan bases. And Merlin, first and foremost, acts as a collective negotiating voice for our members. So for us and our independent members, we are stronger together. That helps us to level the playing field for our members. So that means we help them to get more access on these platforms. We help to provide more transparency, and we help to ultimately create more opportunities for them. And so this growth in this area has been really about moving from what have been more traditional outlets into this decentralized form of promotion. And for artists, this means that they don't have to spend as much time working through traditional gatekeepers. because they can have this more direct access to fans, this more organic, authentic communication. And then for, labels and other rights holders, they have this real unique opportunity to build partnerships with these platforms. And that's everything from marketing opportunities to promotional events, and then also really helping artists build these new audiences. And so for me and for Merlin, we've been really excited about social platforms and their growth because it allows all of these local music genres, these local artists, to then tap into this kind of interconnected platform where they're able to find audiences all around the world outside of where they maybe traditionally built their fan bases.
And you mentioned your journey there, going from Facebook to Merlin, and you've witnessed firsthand the evolution of music streaming platforms and emerging technologies such as AR and VR. And I'm curious, if we look to the future, how do you foresee all these technologies maybe converging or further transforming music streaming? And how is Merlin preparing its partners for this shift too?
If I dip back even further into my history, my origin story was really around the early days of computers. I've been enjoying a lot of these 80s videos showing all the early Windows operating systems and early programming languages. That was my original history was actually in coding. And for me, what's gotten me excited as I've evolved over the last 30 years through my early days, through college, through my jobs, and seeing this evolution of technology and how it is now impacting creativity. What I've seen and what is excited me about Merlin is that independents have always been these early adopters. They've always been these innovative thinkers, these forward-thinking entrepreneurs. And so being able to dive into new platforms and new technology, this is about embracing new frontiers and where music can go. Music is this very sticky product. And every time a platform has included music, they found that their users are more engaged, that they have more stickiness. And so what I want to do is create this better music world for our members. So let's unpack the two you mentioned. We'll start with VR.
Yeah.
And the what we've been saying, or the challenge with VR, is that we've been predicting it's 5 years away for the last 30 years. But with each 5-year period, we do get closer, and we do see the technology getting better. We do see adoption increasing. And, for Merlin, we've started to experiment in this space. We have a deal with Supernatural, who we partnered with last year, that allows Meta Quest users to listen to their favorite music while they work out or meditate. So I see a lot of really interesting use cases in VR around music, whether it's in gaming, whether it's in working out. And then AR is obviously probably even more exciting for music because there's so many other ways around interactive music, live performances, turning locations into venues. So there's these very interesting AR use cases that we can see come out as the technology continues to evolve. And for Merlin, we see ourselves and our members really being at the forefront of that because of the nature of how they operate. And so I'm very excited for what's coming. I love talking to our partners or new potential entrants in this space about what they're building. And so if music is the soundtrack to our lives, I expect to see a lot of innovative use cases in this area.
And I think the intersection of technology and music has always been fascinating. I also think that there's always been a strong connection between technology and music too. But here in 2023, can you elaborate on some of the standout collaborations or partnerships under Merlin that maybe help epitomize the benefits of uniting these two industries?
I got a couple for you. Let's start with our partnership with Twitch. This came out of about 2 years ago. And really what we've done with Twitch is quite exciting in terms of thinking about their platform, what they're goals are with their users and the use cases. And so we've done a lot of exciting partnerships with them. So one is helping to bring artists and our labels as well to the platform to create channels and to create really interactive ways, building their fan bases and interacting with them. We had one of our members do an A&R channel where they were working to, discover new music and new artists. We did a relay raid with them at a Merlin level. We've done 2 of them now. The last one was for Valentine's Day, where it's this handoff streaming event where artists and fans log in and they do it live. And I was really excited. We were able to donate all the money from that to a charity, to Music Cares, which helps wellness in the music community. So that's one that's been really exciting. We were excited to partner with Pinterest. They've been testing what they want to do in the video space. And so we were excited to see if music play a role on their platform for the users. And then the most recent one, which we just announced about a month or 2 ago, is with Canva. And Canva is just this massive platform around not just creator tools, but education, enterprise business tools for creating presentations. And this is just an area where I see music playing such a fundamental role into helping create better content. And so this is one that we're about to go live with them in the next coming months. I'm really excited to see where that one can go, because to me, it epitomizes how foundational music is to our lives. And then I'll just tease for your audience, because we're always in conversations with other companies. That's an AI, community, creator tools, metaverse, gaming. And I don't know which one's going to be the breakthrough yet. It does feel this year like we're on the cusp of a new standout service for the music industry and for artists that's going to be maybe as big as TikTok is.
And before you came on the podcast today, I was reading an article about the impacts of Gen AI. And let's say an artist maybe uses, ChatGPT to help them write a song, who actually owns the copyright to that song that's just being written. And copyright is becoming a big topic in recent weeks and months, especially as the digital landscape evolves. Safeguarding copyrights become even more crucial. So I'm curious, how does Merlin ensure that artists' rights are protected, especially in areas like gaming, and what other emerging technologies do you see as maybe potential opportunities in this regard?
Well, you've now hit on another tentpole of my life, which is I used to be a copyright lawyer. Yeah. And I worked at a global law firm where I worked with a lot of early stage startups, SaaS companies, all of which were dealing with this issue of copyright law and technology and how that shifts the rights issues. And this proliferation of new tech platforms, this is all creating tremendous opportunity. I've always been very excited about what technology can bring, especially to the creative space. On the flip side of that is what we're seeing is just proliferating complexity as well about what that means for copyright law. And when you drill down into the music space, music rights are at a sometimes regional, but really at a country level. And then you have all these different rights holders within it. And then you have all different sorts of organizations representing them. So you take a new technology that raises all sorts of complex issues that's intersecting with an industry that has all sorts of complex rights. And, you asked, what do I see Merlin's role as? And, I see a core remit of what we're doing is to help navigate that for our members, but also for these platforms. How can we create clarity for them? And how can we ensure that we have control, consent, and compensation for these musicians, these artists, these labels, And so, for every challenge there is in the marketplace, on the flip side of that is an opportunity. And so AI is obviously one of those. Gaming still represents obviously a huge opportunity. To date, a lot of what's been happening in gaming has been one-off licenses. But, at Merlin, we're looking at ways to create an easier way to make it more accessible. So we've licensed a technology platform called Stinger. They provide a turnkey music licensing solution for video game makers. So that one's been exciting for me to see where that one goes. It's maybe not sexy, but advertising has always been really exciting. The total global spend is reaching nearly $1 trillion. That's 5x bigger than the gaming market. And, what I can say is every ad is better with music in it. But most of them can't access high quality music, especially for these smaller ads or smaller spends that they want to do. So that one's really exciting. And then, we're obviously all enticed by the metaverse. We've been having some interesting conversations, and that's just another one where you're seeing this technology platform intersect with copyright, and it's really tricky to sort of navigate who owns what, and not just in the now, but also in the future.
And I think the impacts of Gen AI in the last 8 months alone blindsided many, and also served up a timely reminder of just how quickly things can change. With this in mind, I'm going to ask you the impossible question. Looking 5 years ahead, in what ways do you believe the music consumption landscape will change? And again, how is Merlin positioning itself and evolving with the trends to help shape and adapt that future that we're heading towards?
Yeah, the unknown. Okay, I like the 5 years ahead because then I can maybe make some wild predictions. Let's start with some simple ones. Excuse me. We're going to see music more seamlessly integrated into wearable tech. We are just still at the early stages of where wearable tech can go from here. Yeah. So that's first and foremost. The second is obviously these augmented audio experiences. What we talked a little bit earlier about AR, but there's all sorts of opportunity around contextual audio experiences based on time of day, where you're located. And all of this is just about creating a deeper personalization. So if we go back to what AI is doing, and you've actually seen this with Spotify, for example, with their new DJ tool. This is just the beginning. We're seeing a lot of our partners starting to experiment with better personalization around predictive behavior, immersive experiences, crafting unique playlists. All of this is something that's coming. I mean, we're already seeing that. And so that's really exciting. What would be maybe a bold prediction? We are going to see, I think we're going to see a whole new vertical in the same way that AI seemingly cropped up overnight, though I think for your audience, yeah, I would expect many of them have been watching it come for a long time now. I keep talking about new verticals. There's so many other spaces where they could benefit from music. And I think, for example, about the 90% of startups that fail, and there's all sorts of reasons why, but I believe that music could fundamentally change so many of the trajectories of these platforms if they could tap into music in a more seamless fashion. And so that's a space that I'm really focused on and interested in, is not just the music streaming services and not even just the sort of music adjacent services, but platforms and SaaS companies that haven't even thought about music. And I think there's a real big opportunity in that space. And for me, that leads to the things that we're trying to do. And there's a lot, but I'll just give maybe 3 examples. Yeah. Which is, the first is, how do we make music more accessible? That's just first and foremost. It's so many companies avoid music because they see it as challenging or they don't know how to tap into it, or they think it's going to be too expensive. I think there's a lot of ways to address that. And one of the ways we want to do it, which is my second example, is using our collective voice more. How can Merlin be a voice, not just for our members and independents, but for the music industry at large? And then the third is just behind the scenes, educating our members. We have members from all around the world, of all different size, some of whom started off, in fact, as tech companies. They didn't start off in music per se, but they got into music. And so we just have so many voices feeding information, knowledge into us that we can then use to help educate our other members. And it's one of the ways that we see our value add. It's this educational piece as the landscape gets more complex. The operational rigor required to operate in this space gets more complex. What we can do is help them to better navigate that. And by the way, that's something we do at Merlin itself. You need to build your business for what is happening now, of course, but we've been really trying to position ourselves to be ready for whatever change comes next. Because just like as you mentioned earlier about AI kind of coming out of the blue, in a lot of ways, it really did. It really took a lot of people by surprise. And for us, we were maybe surprised, but we were ready for it.
And I know we've mentioned it a few times, but I'm curious, how do you view generative AI and the potential to create new music at Merlin? Any challenges or opportunities that immediately spring to mind that it might present to both artists and the music industry at large?
Just to give an example, it was been reported that there are 120,000 new tracks uploaded to Spotify every day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of music. And AI tools could exponentially increase that rate. And the first challenge that presents is this could just make music discovery more challenging, breaking new artists more challenging, having a career in music more challenging. And that is sort of one end of the extreme or the spectrum. On the flip side, just a day ago, Pershing Capital, who's a big investor in Spotify, released their semi-annual report in which they stated their belief that mass-produced AI music tracks will not have a detrimental impact on streaming services. And in a nutshell, they're almost saying the proverbial, if a tree falls in the forest, but no one is there to hear it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the same could be said for AI music. I, though, don't want to assume that it won't. And that's why we're engaged with a number of companies in this space. And I'll go back to this sort of trifecta I mentioned earlier, which also applies to AI, which is consent, control, and compensation. That means ensuring that there's control over how music is used in these large language models, consent over that usage, and then fair compensation for that. On the opportunity side, it's exciting. It's novel. People are using these, if you look at how technology has always been used in the music space, whether that's the format or that's the tools. I was just watching an early video of Bjork using a computer to make music. And the journalist was saying, well, how can that music have soul in it? And Bjork was saying, well, the soul comes from the artist, not the tool.
Yeah.
And AI may be something very similar, which is if it's used in the best case scenarios, it serves as this tool to create more innovative music and to allow better expression and more creativity. And that's something that's very exciting.
Completely agree. And I would imagine that music genres will evolve. Even the role of the artist will evolve too. And is this something that you're passionate about at Merlin too, and ensuring that the artist remains at the forefront?
100%. technology to me always needs to serve culture, not the other way around. And that is about centering humanity at the center of humanity.
Yeah.
Culture has always been such a big part of my life. My mom was an artist. Before I went to law school, I was a branding designer. And so I've always had a ton of respect for people who create, whether it's music, it's art, those who write. It's such an incredible talent. And the thing about what humanity brings to this is this ability to bring together these divergent ideas that create something new and novel. And I see AI as really augmenting that and not replacing that. And we see a lot of our artists, they've always, artists through our members who've always adopted, cutting edge technologies. And I just see it being the same right now with these tools. I also see areas where you can see more collaboration happening. You could also see AI allowing for more transparency. So there's all these different areas that AI can augment while still keeping humanity at the center of culture.
Love that. And just to bring to life everything we're talking about here, given Merlin's mission to help independent labels and distributors own their digital presence, is there anything you can share around key milestones, objectives, or things you want to achieve in the coming years, and how you see Merlin's roles evolving in the ever-changing music tech landscape too?
So at a high level, more opportunities, more exposure, more money for our members, for their artists. That's our North Star. How do we ensure that our members can better own their futures, can navigate in this increasingly complex marketplace? Let me give you two concrete examples. Number one is we just finished phase one of our data warehouse initiative. And as I mentioned before, we collectively represent more than 15% of the recorded music marketplace. And to give some perspective, that's in the same vein as the three major record companies, Universal, Sony, and Warner. So in the independent space, we sit on the largest collection of royalty and trends data for our members, and the ability to pull from that and pull benchmarking data, pull actionable insights for our members to help them make better decisions in this space. That's something that we're really excited about, that we're working on, and something that we're rolling out in the coming months to our members. The second is just the technology we built. We don't talk about this a lot, but everything we build is bespoke because there is nothing else like Merlin in the marketplace. We are this unique vehicle, and that means all of our products have to be built towards this unique model. So that's our finance systems, our royalties module, how we pay our members, how we deliver content. We have an internal CMS, we have an external CMS, we have this data warehouse, and our goal is to ensure that we have the best products in the marketplace. We have an incredibly strong technology and business solutions team, and it's something that we continue to build up to ensure that we can deliver the best in class to our members. And that's something that, given my background, I'm deeply involved in and obviously very, very excited about.
Well, I've loved chatting with you, and I love everything that you're doing here. And I always like to have a bit of fun with my guests before I let them go, as you know. So we've got the Amazon wish list for books that guests can recommend, or the song to add to a Spotify playlist. All I'm going to ask is, what would you like to leave everyone listening, and why?
How about this? Let me go with this one. Hopefully none of your guests have recommended it. And even if they have, then this just reinforces the value of it. It's a book called Deep Work. by Cal Newport. I remember about 10 years ago when I started working, I used to work at Warner Music for about a decade. And we used to talk, a lot back then about the attention economy. We are now situating ourselves in the moment economy. And that means, we need to take back control. We need to develop, better skills to handle the influx of information and, minimize the distractions and, really to kind of maximize this limited time we have in our lives. And I just found a lot of great lessons from reading that book that your audience would probably benefit from. And then I'll give you a song, and this is a funny one because it got delivered to me via a social network or social platform. I'm an 80s kid, so I love 80s music. I grew up listening to The Cure and Depeche Mode. So there was this band called Glass Spells from Mexico that is in the vein of some of those synth pop goth bands of the 80s. And they have a great song called Thrills that I really enjoyed.
Oh, man, I need to check that out myself. I'll be straight on that as a similar taste in music, so I'll be straight on that when we finish recording today. I'll get it added to the Spotify playlist. And for anyone listening wanting to find out more information about Merlin, dig a little bit deeper, carry on the conversation, where would you like to point everyone listening to?
Oh, yeah. Please come to our website. We're at merlinnetwork.org, and you can keep up with all things Merlin on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter X, I guess we're calling it now, LinkedIn and Threads. And our handle is super easy. It's Merlin Network, no spaces, no dashes, no underscores, and 2 N's.
Love it. Well, I'll get that added to the show notes so people can find you nice and easy. Love chatting with you today about the future of music streaming, the impacts of emerging technologies, what the future of music will look like, and what it might sound like too. And we're both from a similar era. And you mentioned Depeche Mode a moment ago, and another band that experimented fantastically with technology throughout their career. And you mentioned Bjork as well. So I'm not fearful about the future of music, more excited than anything. But thank you for bringing this topic to life today.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
And that was Jeremy Sirota orchestrating an enlightening symphony of insights on how technology is reshaping the music industry. And together we ventured into the virtual realms of AR and VR, celebrating some of those standout collaborations and also pondering the ethical implications of AI in music. So from the role of social platforms to the digital evolution of music and Merlin's role in navigating these complex terrains, I think we discovered a whole new rhythm to how we interact with music. I'm putting too many puns into this outro, aren't I? But I can't help myself. In fact, I'm going to give you another one. If today's discussion struck a chord with you, see what I did there? Please don't miss out on any other episodes, because we're going to continue to demystify the nexus of technology and real-world applications. So a big thank you to Jeremy for his valuable time, and an even bigger thank you to each and every one of you for listening to this podcast. Remember, if you want to email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. If you want to connect with me on any of the social channels, or you want to work with me, go to techblogwriter.co.uk. You can learn more about all that stuff and also access 2,500 interviews. But that's it for today. So remember, the music never stops, and neither does the innovation. So I'll see you bright and early tomorrow. But if you can't make it, until next time, don't be a stranger.